Ka noho au I te roro o tōku whare o Hangarau. Matarangi atu ki runga o te awanui ārangi ki Rangiwaia. Ko te haka a te tūpere, ko te whānau a tauwhao. Ka eke ki runga o maunga nui I mau I te awatea. Kia ki ake au taku moana he koko ngā tuangi, he pāpaku tauranga moana, tauranga waka, tauranga tangata. I'd like to introduce my colleague, Dr. Norma Rosales-Anderson, ko Los Angeles te maunga, ko Rio de la Plata te awa, ko Oceano Atlantico te moana, ko Argentina te iwi. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Te kākano. In 2015, Norma completed her PhD studies for her dissertation entitled The Space Beyond, Academic Quality Renaissance, Case Studies within Māori, Mapuche and Mokovi Tertiary Education Organisations. She did this in collaboration with Universidad de la Frontera de Muco in South Chile. Here she was overseen by Professor Williamson, Director of the Faculty of Education, Social Sciences and Humanities. Dr. Williamson works closely and has for most of his life, although he is not Indigenous, with the Mapuche students and communities of Central Valley, south of the Biobío River in Chile. Since 2015, the Department of Education, through the Kilo One Intercultural Education Line, has carried out 4 internships of Māori and intercultural delegations of Te Wānanga o Aotearoa and other Māori study centres or organisations in New Zealand, as well as other joint academic activities. Aroha mai, there's a lot of reading here, so I'm trying to incorporate Norma's kōrero. Since that time, Norma has invited people to walk with her on this journey, and I took up the invitation in 2019, and this Thursday we fly out to Chile. This will be my 4th visit. So I'm not new to it, and it's been a real honour. Okay. And these are the things that we've done since 2015. As a consequence, since that, aroha mai. I want to mention that as a consequence of these visits and the visitors we have hosted over the years, in 2023 last year, a collaboration between the Wānanga, Victoria University alongside CAPE. CAPE is the Centre of Asian Pacific Excellence here in Wellington, resulted in securing the Prime Minister's Scholarship, where 12 students spent 1 month in Chile engaging with communities, education and sightseeing. And I'm just going to read this bit from Dr. Williamson as to how he understands what's happening here. The main background of this internship is to provoke an experience of spiritual and academic unity of 4 peoples on 2 edges of the Pacific Sea, Māori, Mapuche, Chileans, New Zealanders, summoned by the social, cultural, linguistic, spiritual struggles of the ancestral peoples of Chile and New Zealand, to build a society of intercultural coexistence that ensures the rights of the Māori and Mapuche peoples as their contribution to the culture and spirituality of national collective societies in their maritime, earthly, spiritual and cultural continental territories. Whew. Man, that was a mouthful. But, you know, that's what I'm learning for myself about academic speak. So we fly into Santiago and we travel 10 hours by bus to Temuka. It's a long day. In 2020 census, 609,000 people identified themselves as Mapuche, and there's a whole story behind that, by far the country's largest Indigenous group. Then at 2013, 322,000, and it would have grown by then. There's this thing in Chile, because of this discrimination and racism, that they hide, and they call themselves Chileans. They don't call themselves Mapuche, because they won't get a job. You know, just those basic things, eh? I found this in a magazine. It's me. I didn't even know it had happened. But the man that I'm having the hongi with, his name is Diego, is an activist, but also a politician. There are good things about him, not good things about him, according to media and all the rest of it at the moment. He came to visit in 2023. When he flew back, he was imprisoned, and he is now a political prisoner. And in Chile, you're guilty till you're proven not guilty, innocent. As you can see, Mapu means land, Che means people, okay, Mapuche. So the Mapuche peoples, just so a little bit of info, the Mapuche are the largest indigenous group in South America, and they primarily reside in the south of Chile. They have a distinct culture, like us, with their own language, Mapudongu, and traditional practices of textiles and silverware. Their social structures are very similar to ours, hapu-based, led by a longkon, who is the chief. Traditionally, the Mapuche economy was based on agriculture, including cultivation of crops, and they also engage in the fishing because Chile is on the Pacific Ocean, hunting and raising livestock. As you can see, they went through colonisation, 1936, went through a period of independence, and then a dictator came in, Augusto Pinochet, came in and did the damage. Okay? And I think you can all, connect to the atrocities that happened for them. Land privatisation. They implemented a law of community division, which aimed to break up communal Mapuche lands into individual holdings. Okay, we know that one. The policy led to privatisation and sale of much of their lands, okay, from 400,000 acres, from 10 million acres to 400,000 acres. And so much of the land was sold to corporations, particularly forestry and timber companies, and mining. Many Mapuche were forced into urban areas, the urban drift, where they faced discrimination and struggled to find employment. Hence, they hide and call themselves Chileans. Cultural suppression. The dictator attempted to erase Mapuche culture by declaring there are no indigenous peoples, only Chileans. Is that one people's kōrero? This led to a decline in the use of the language and other cultural practices as Mapuche people were pressured to assimilate into mainstream Chilean society. Human rights abuses. Many Mapuche activists were subject to torture, imprisonment and forced exile. Oh, I think our tūpuna were too. We were sitting in a hui in what they call the roka. A roka is just like a wharenui. And you walk in and it's dirt floor and there's an open fire and there's a hole in the roof and it's all thatched. And we were sitting there with the longkon having kōrero. And this young girl that was sitting beside me talked to me about her neighbours, two young men, and they found one of them hanging. You know, I'm not talking 100 years ago. We're talking probably 5, 6 years ago. One of them was hanging. They found him hanging in the tree. What had happened prior to that is these two young boys were protesting. And so for them, they were targeted and they were killed. They found, there was one big protest and they found one of the women in the dam, just floating in the dam. And so those are some of the things that they have to still deal with. So human rights, yeah, exiled, tortured. The anti-terrorism law enacted by the dictator was often used to target and criminalise Mapuche residents, resistance and activism. Okay. So we know that these actions have long-lasting effects. You know. But what I feel is that when I listen to this kōrero over there, they're way behind where we are at, and hence why they look at Māori as a beacon, as a light that they can gravitate to find answers for, or to find support with, or ways of dealing with the racism that goes on there. During the dictatorship, significant changes were made to the Chilean waterways. Now, you know, water is our sustenance. So what happened was that the dictator privatised the waterways, and he sold them to industrial companies, agriculture, a lot to the mining companies. And what that's done is it's polluted the waterways. The privatisation and deregulation of water resources resulted in over-extraction and pollution of rivers and lakes. So we were at one lake, and apparently 80% of it had been sold to the mining company. Since that time, the level has dropped. The mining company still expects their 80% at the time that they signed. So the people around that lake can't use the water, because it belongs to somebody. So yeah, the loss of water rights and environmental degradation further marginalised these communities. And I remember we went to visit a winery, and that was their concern, is how were they going to water their plants that summer, their vines. Okay, so that's a little bit about what they're having to put up with. What challenges are Mapuche, how are Mapuche addressing the challenges that they face? I'm just gonna, sorry, my kids did this. They're clever, eh? I'm just gonna show you these, because I think I've got thousands of photos of some of the things that we've done along the way. This group, and I think there's another one coming up. We've gone to ceremonies where we've planted trees, not realising that the trees were in honour of us being there. We were sort of told that afterwards. Longcon. These are Longcon. They are very proud of their wear. And Mihaere and I presented to them about, it was called Waiters, right? These are our students. These are our students, 6 from Wānanga and 6 from Victoria. And that's in a modern day ruka. Okay, so just some photos. So I just want you to go like this. Mari mari, mari mari, mari mari, kia ora. So that's the equivalent to our kia ora, kei te pēhea koe. Okay? So we've been into Indigenous schools, and something's happened and all the kids, mari mari! And it's really uplifting. It's really uplifting. I've only got 1 minute left. So relationships, whanaungatanga, international, inter-university, intercultural, Indigenous cooperation. Who benefits? The University de la Frontera. This is the nutty professor. He knows I call him the nutty professor. Every time I go on his car, I close my eyes because I think we're going to crash. But he's the guy that looks after us. Mapuche communities, te wānanga o Aotearoa. And I just wanna finish in terms of, you know, why do I go to Chile? I get asked that all the time, and you know, I really had to think about it this time. Why am I going to Chile? Because how does the wānanga benefit from my research or my engagement with Mapuche? And I've come to think that the wānanga benefits through what I learn, how I grow, and I bring that into the classroom. Okay? So, cultural exchange, to immerse myself in the rich culture and traditions, professional development, to gain new perspectives and skills that enhance my work. I'm becoming more politically astute. You know, politics was never my thing. And then we have the march, and you know, it's like the film Matrix. I've taken the red pill, and now I look past the rhetoric. Right? I have a voice. We all have a voice. The saying is, you drop a pebble into the water and you don't know how far the vibration goes. And I said to Norma, why are we going back? Because we get invited back. So I'm thinking, well, we must be contributing something. For me, even if it's one thing that somebody takes and does something with, I've done something. Paulo Freire, the guru whose thinking underpins our degree of ngā pautoko whakarara oranga. I've been to the school of Freire, fabulous. I've met and spoken with two of his disciples, both in their 80s. We had an afternoon with them. I now get the deeper meaning of his kōrero and why Taina Pōhatu synergises with his work. You know, and it's okay to wail at a seminar on climate change. I feel the pain of our Indigenous brothers and sisters across the world. It's the same pain we carry. So yeah, I want to leave you with the profound words of Paulo Freire. Education does not change the world. Education changes people. People change the world. And like Taina always says, how will it be in your time, e moko? We are responsible for that. And so, you know, we just keep fighting to make our world a better place. So kia ora koutou.